I'm Herman Oxendine. I live in the Prospect community. We moved here in 1970, and me and Loretta, we've been here for ever since. We belong to the Lumbee tribe, which was up until the early 50s, we were known as the Croatan Indian of Robeson County. Hayes Allen Locklear was having some Indian art doing artwork there in Pembroke. Had rented they had given us a building in an office, in a room there. He was teaching the classes on making dream catchers and war bonnets and chinnyberry necklaces and things like that. The name come up about pine needle baskets, and Loretta told him, said, I know how to make a pine needle basket. She had watched her older sister make a pine needle basket. Her and her sister, her younger sister, they went into house and got some of her mama's sewing thread and gathered up some pine needles as a little pine tree in the backyard. There was a meeting every Thursday night there in Pembroke with Hayes Allen, and we took the little, each one of us, she showed me a little bit, and she was showing me, and I was showing her. We took it back to the class the next night, that next meeting on a Thursday night, and Hayes had looked at it. He said, keep working at it. It didn't look like much. It was about this tall around the top, and it was about this big. It didn't look like much.
You can move.
I'm going to let you start since you're Mrs. Barbara.
I'm Barbara Brave Boy Locklear. I'm Lumbee. I am a friend, more than acquaintance of Mr. Herman and Loretta Oxendine for more than 60 years. I first met the Oxendines when I married into a community where they were residing. Miss Loretta was teaching there in a community school. I got to know her through education and her profession there.
Okay, I'm Hayes Allen Locklear. I'm from Union Chapel community in the Burnt Swamp Township of Robeson County. I'm Lumbee also. I met Miss Loretta and Mr. Herman through their children. I was friends with Lori and Virgil to begin with in high school. And then I met Mr. Herman and Miss Loretta. And I got to know them both better when I was a curator with the Indian Education Program with the public schools of Robeson County. I also taught a traditional Native American class through the community college. I taught china berries, necklaces, and beadwork and some other things, and they took my class. So we became family at that point. And then through Indian Education is when I was doing research on Lumbee history and culture and our material culture. And I just made the statement or asked the question in the group, has anyone ever made a pine needle basket? Or has anyone ever known anyone to make one? Well, Miss Loretta she was always the first for anything. She sat at the front of the row. You just loved for her to be a part of your group. But anyway, she raised her hand. She says, my mom made them when I was a little girl and she taught me. I said, well, make one day and bring it. So that's how I got acquainted with her pine needle basket.
I have one of my mother's baskets, and I don't remember ever seeing her make a basket. So that basket has to be at least 70 years old. We make small pine needle baskets that we put on chinaberry necklaces, and that's our basket necklace. And they're very tiny. These are the chinaberries. We process them, Herman processes them outside. It takes all day to clean them. And we dye them with tea, cranberries, pokeberries, blueberries, and coffee, depending on what color we want. The only dye we use is natural dyes.
Every basket that Miss Loretta made, I could see and I could feel her mama and her grandmother from where it came. You know, she told the story of how she learned it from her mother as a little girl. And then she, in turn, did what she was supposed to do, was to teach it to other little girls and to other kids and other children. And she taught it in her classroom, and she taught it at powwows and across the nation. People got to see Lumbees. Miss Loretta and Mr. Herman started their basket weaving, and he did gourds and he did pottery. It was an art that was almost lost among our people, and they single-handedly brought it back. Because
Exactly
their
right.
basketry is completely different from any other pine needle baskets that I've seen in the Southeast. And that's because they're traditional Lumbee, because ours were different.
One thing that sets apart the Oxendine's art is the materials. And most of their materials are self-gathered. They are earthly people. They love the earth, and they utilize the gifts from the earth.
Oh, this the Ada Bell basket because of our people's real spiritual. They had started to build the building for a church, and they used it for also used the church for a school, and they had to start a cemetery. We were there cleaning it off one day, and and Horace, he come by and handed us a handful of longleaf pine needles, and then there was Barbara. She come by and handed me some sweetgrass, good smelling vine. They grow back behind the barn, plentiful, and Barbara come by and handed me a handful of them, and a piece of barbed wire. And we didn't know what we were going to do with it at the time, and so we got home with it, and I decided let's make a basket. Loretta wrote up about the sweetgrass were good times. The good times that they had, and the barbed wire was the kind of harsh, the bad times, especially missing their family here.